Although we share posts with viewpoints that may not represent all of our followers, we have some who believe the content in its entirety. For those who this offends, we deeply apologize. For those who embrace this, we support you as well. Our objective is to present the diversity of views in our community for the purpose of finding common ground. For us, debate and intellectual discourse is critical to the learning process. Dogma, in all its forms, is what divides us and divides all of humanity. Now, more than ever, all human beings deserve equal respect because of their innate dignity. Thus, respect for other people's opinions is the goal through which tolerance and understanding the means to that end.
All right, Buttercups, buckle up because Chris Corey is here and we're about to get down and delightfully dirty. Welcome to the premiere of Sex Talks. I'm your house quasi-psych sexologist. This podcast born from late night whispers, vulnerable vibes, and a shared obsession with the wonderfully weird world of intimacy, identity, and human connection. Your host, that's me, Chris Corey, proudly waving my non-straight flag, a SoCal native vagabond by upbringing and currently nestled in the Rio Grande Valley. I'm your resident explorer of all things. Well, this, what started as pillow talk, that got a little too philosophical. Wait, who are we under these sheets? Has blossomed into this very existential adventure. A space where curiosity gets cozy with conversation, and honey, not a single topic is off the naughty list. From my first blush of awkward affection to the man who inadvertently sparked this whole shebang in the first place. Sex has always had a magnetic pull on my psyche. And let's not forget the love of my life, Jordan Dallas. Without him, this podcast might still be a figment of my overreactive imagination. So thanks, my love. You're the reason we're about to get real. Now, let's be honest. The word sex has always been a bit of a trigger for the internal drama queen. Thanks to a childhood steeped in enough religious thou shall nots to fill a library. But fear not, my curious comrades. Whether you're here to learn a thing or two, snort, laugh into your beverage, ponder the profound, or just witness the glorious train wreck this might become. Welcome to the deep end. Let's talk sex and all the deliciously tangled threads that come with it. And speaking of deliciousness, I'm practically vibrating with excitement to announce the brilliant minds joining us on future episodes. Trust me, you'll want front row seats for the diverse perspectives and aha moments we have brewing. Case in point, the utterly esteemed Dr. Thelma Fitzgerald will be gracing us with her presence for our future chat. Prepare for some serious brainy goodness. But wait, there's more, because we believe in leaving no stone unturned, and definitely no other things unturned for that matter. Well, we'll also be welcoming some seriously fascinating adult content creators to the show. These folks bring a unique brand of expertise and stories that are bound to spice things up and maybe even challenge a few of those dusty old assumptions we all carry around. So yeah, definitely stick around for those illuminating conversations. Now, while we're practically giddy with anticipation for those future chats and the possibility of you joining me right here on Sex Talks, let's get down to business. Today, in our very first foray into the wonderfully weird, we're diving headfirst into sex, desire, and discovering who you really are. That's right, We're untangling the messy, exhilarating process of exploring your sexuality, acknowledging those secret little desires, and ultimately figuring out who the heck you are when the clothes come off, literally and figuratively. So, ditch the inhibitions, grab your beverage of choice, and let's plunge into the heart of it, shall we? In this premiere episode of Sex Talks, we're doing exactly that. Exploring your sexuality, your desires, and navigating the often hilariously confusing journey of figuring out your authentic self in the realm of intimacy. We'll be gleefully dismantling some persistent myths about self-discovery and exploring why so many of us feel like we're trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded when it comes to this deeply personal exploration. With that said, we move into segment 1, breaking the ice with some self-discovery myth or fact checks. Alright, so I'm gonna lob a couple of myths out to you, then you can decide whether they're factual or total nonsense. You ready? First up, you should know your sexual orientation by the time you're an adult. That's right, folks, total myth. While some lucky ducks have a crystal clear understanding of their orientation early on, for many of us, it's an obstacle. It's a delicious, slow burn, unfolding through experiences and actively shedding a whole lot of societal baggage. Sexuality isn't a surprise quiz with a deadline. You don't have to have all the answers neatly packaged by a certain age. And frankly, science is increasingly showing it's way more fluid than Aunt Mildred at Thanksgiving dinner seems to think. Next one, and this one used to make my teenage self want to throw things. If you're questioning your sexuality, you must be going through a phase. The mother of all myths, in my humble opinion, questioning isn't a fleeting trend. It's often a sign of some serious self-awareness and personal growth. Sometimes the most authentic parts of ourselves decide to make their grand entrance later in life. And that's not a phase, it's simply truth, doing its own damn thing on its own damn timeline. Last one, and this is a personal favorite, you can't know what you like until you try it. This one's a bit of a cheeky tango. Wouldn't you agree? Sometimes, absolutely. Experience can unlock desires you never knew existed. But also, some folks have a pretty strong internal compass pointing towards what resonates with them without needing a literal test drive. So, self-discovery is a deeply personal safari, and everyone's map looks different. The golden nugget here, your identity is yours, and there is absolutely no expiration date on figuring it out. Alright, so we've swatted down some misconceptions, but let's keep it real. Figuring yourself out, especially when it comes to the wonderfully messy world of sexuality and intimacy, can feel like navigating a minefield while wearing oven mitts and singing opera. So let's delve into segment 2, why self-discovery is so damn hard as well. And the honest to goodness truth is most of us grow up with a script that's been subtly or not so subtly handed down, outlining who we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to act, and even what gets our engines revving. And when our authentic selves don't quite fit that pre-written narrative, bam, suddenly we're questioning everything, feeling like the odd sock in the drawer with all the other perfectly matched pairs. Maybe you grew up in an environment where queerness was the elephant in the room that no one dared to acknowledge, a deafening silence that screamed avoid at all costs. Or worse, Maybe you experienced spaces where it was actively shamed, leaving behind those deep-seated feelings of fear and ickiness. Perhaps you felt those little sparks of attraction that didn't align with the perceived norm and instinctively shoved them down, desperately hoping those feelings would just poof, disappear like a bad magician. Or maybe you were simply never given the space, the encouragement, or even just the quiet permission to truly ask yourself what you genuinely want and desire. For me personally, I had a light bulb moment when I realized that self-discovery isn't this singular ding, you're done event. It's an ongoing, ever-evolving adventure. You're constantly peeling back layers, discovering new little quirks about yourself, and that's not a sign of being lost. That's the beautiful, messy process of becoming you. But what happens when that journey of self-discovery feels less like an adventure and more like an impossible climb? When the weight of guilt, the icy grip of fear, or the suffocating blanket of shame gets in the way of making it feel utterly impossible to take that next step forward? Well, that crucial question brings us directly to our next segment, Q&As. How do I explore my fantasies without guilt and fear? The answer? Exploring fantasies without guilt? Look, having fantasies is as normal as wanting that second slice of pizza. They don't define your character or your real life desires. That gnawing guilt, often it's just the lingering echo of societal shoulds and shouldn'ts rattling around in your brain. Here's how to explore those inner landscapes without feeling like you need to confess your deepest thoughts to a priest. Be curious, not judgmental. Think of your fantasies as little postcards from your subconscious. They're insights, not indictments of your moral fiber. Separate thought from action. Your brain's playground is different from real life. Fantasies don't automatically translate to real-world desires or values. You can think it without having to do it. Educate yourself. Sometimes understanding the psychology behind the certain fantasies can take away the power to make you feel weird. There are tons of validating resources out there. Talk safely. Sharing your thoughts with a trusted partner, a private journal, or a therapist can be incredibly liberating. Sometimes just voicing them takes away their shadowy power. Embrace agency. As long as your explorations are consensual, legal, and safe, and happening entirely in your own head, your pleasure is valid. Own it. Segment 4. Let's get playful. Okay, my fabulous listeners, let's wrap up our premiere episode with a little sprinkle of fun, shall we? I posed a burning question that comes up a lot in conversation. When did you know you weren't straight? Or when did you first realize you had a unique kink? And you absolutely brought the tea. One person shared with a touch of endearing bewilderment. When I was 8, I had a huge crush on a boy in my class, but I also thought Wonder Woman was the most beautiful person alive. It took me a casual 2 decades to realize that meant something. Relatable, right? Our childhood crushes were clearly laying the groundwork for some interesting revelations. Another had a truly cinematic awakening. I was watching a vampire movie and realized I was way too into the biting scene. Turns out I'm into dominance. Who knew a little blood sucking could unlock that? Talk about a thirst trap, eh? Then there's the one who thought a certain scenario was just Tuesday. I thought everyone imagined getting tied up while making out. Turns out, not so much. That was just my little secret fantasy world. Oh, the delightful surprises our minds cook up. And finally, a pop culture moment of truth. I realized I was into guys when I saw Zac Efron shirtless in High School Musical 2 and felt different. The power of teen heartthrobs, am I right? Who knew Disney could be so awakening? The takeaway from our little peek into your wonderfully unique experiences: self-discovery is a gloriously messy, often hilarious, and completely unpredictable journey, often unfolding in the most unexpected aha moments, and more than half the time, we don't even connect the dots until we're looking back with a knowing, and maybe a slightly embarrassed smile. So, if you're still on that adventure of figuring things out, exploring those little tugs of attraction, or uncovering your secret desires, take comfort in knowing you are in damn good company. We're all a beautiful, unique, and sometimes slightly kooky tapestry of experiences. And just like that, our premiere episode of Sex Talks has come to a close. We dove headfirst into normalizing the inner landscapes of our desires, unpacked the winding path of self-discovery, offered a little lifeline for navigating the sometimes tricky terrain of fantasy, and shared a few laughs at the wonderfully quirky ways we come to understand ourselves. Until our next conversation, I urge you all to keep that curiosity burning bright, keep exploring what sets your soul and other parts on fire, and most importantly, keep it undeniably deliciously you. Remember this, my friends: your pleasure, your power, your authentic truth, that is yours, and yours alone. You're to unapologetically own, so own it and flaunt it proudly. With that, I bid you farewell.
Wow. Whoa. Yeah, honestly, wow. Oh, Jesus. Yes, yes, oh, Jesus. Thank you, everyone. The shows are going to be amazing. We've spent a tremendous amount of time working on a lot of stuff, so we look forward to seeing everyone again. On that note, I got to get some sleep and call it a night. Thank you.